Hello, my name is Brittany Deigh. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello. Thank you for being here, present for another beautiful episode on the Addicted House Recovery. In this episode, we're going to talk about what is recovery. I remember for the longest time, I thought that recovery was this program and this facility. And, I really tied it to the cleansing of these substances from your body and, watching the wounds, the scabs heal over and, the body becoming more nutritious and brighter again and not all shriveled up and not in health, not in a good state of health. And I think I a little bit associated it with the mental health aspect and the spiritual health of, kind of finding yourself again and finding, this healthier sense of self and self-esteem. But as I'm experiencing it myself in my own addiction recovery and also with my family and our household and what we went through as a unit, I'm realizing that what recovery really is this unwinding. It's this unfucking yourself from all of this fuckery that you experienced or that you did to yourself or did to your body or did to your mind or did to your soul. The best visual that comes to me is this ball of all of these strings all tied up and knotted up, and they're just an absolute mess. And it's if you tug on one string, then it starts to knot the other. And then, then you got to go over and unknot that string so that way you can pull this string over here again, further out of the ball. And it's just everything is so connected and tied. Every single trauma, every single time that you used, every single time that you belittled, every single time that you shamed yourself, all of it is so connected and intertwined. And that's why I never really understood why, the people that I did know in the program, especially my aunt would always say, she would was very stern on being this is a lifelong process. You're in recovery for the rest of your life. And I just remember being what? No, you recover, you can heal anything. You go to the facility, you sober up and you recover and then you're no longer addicted. And it's that is just barely the tip of the iceberg. And that's why people can, be called what people call dry, where they're not using, they don't have substances that they're using, but they are still a wound up ball and they're, addicted to this and that and, buying this and running. They're still inside so tangled up and still in such a state of suffering that they're still deep in addiction. They're just not using substances specifically to, what I kind of call it, to be honest, guys, is a pacifier. And I think that's also because I have a baby right now. I'm in mommy mode, but it's to pacify, to oh, I just need the pacifier. I just, now I feel better. And it's a sense of relief, that you're getting from whenever you, use in whatever way that is, even if it's no longer substances, whatever you use to pacify yourself. Until you really, really begin to recover, which is unwinding and untangling and pulling all of these strings out of the bundle and doing the work in real time. Like, it's one thing to know what string is there and maybe even to tug on it a little bit, and then it like knots the other string, and then you're like, oh fuck, now I gotta go over there and like address that and like untangle that so that way I can keep pulling on this string. It's one thing to know that and to see the bundle and to maybe even tug on the string a little bit, but it's a whole other ball game to actually go in there and unwind and unfuck your soul. Like, this is a spiritual sickness. This is a spiritual illness. This is deep, deep, deep work. And that's why whenever you just like tug on the string, it's like, that's just the barely tip of the iceberg. Like, you got to go in there with your actions and with your soul, go in there and unwind and untangle this mess that this has all become, because the illness and the addiction was, left to pour. That is the best word that's coming through me. Pour. It's like this poison that pours over all of your life. And it's so challenging to even accept, like, to get to the point where like maybe you are sober in the sense of you're not using substances, but then you're still sitting there and you're just like looking around at this like lava of poison that's just like on everything. And you're like, and I think even like, at least for our family, I feel like even just the not using substances and not worrying about, my brother dying at any moment and like overdosing or losing him, like, I feel like that in itself, we needed to like breathe after like a 15-year journey. And so, the first like 2 years, it was like, let's just breathe. Like, it doesn't really, I mean, yes, we know that like eventually we're going to have to start like peeling these layers back and unwinding and unpacking some of this stuff. But let's just breathe for a moment. So I just want you to know that if you're there, if you're just not using substances and taking a deep breath, and you can still feel that the addiction is still very present, it still has this hold on your consciousness, you're still very much sick, right? But you're not using substances, do not shame yourself for not being at the stage, for not being somewhere that you want to be. Like, be present with where you're at now, and one day at a time, just take a step forward in the process of unfucking and unwinding. There is no rush to your soul's evolution. There is no rush to your healing process. And actually, when you rush it and you try and push it, that's where the resistance comes in, and then you're back in the suffering. So really surrendering to where you are now, right? You see the poison of lava everywhere. You see the bundle, the ball of strings all bundled up, and still being able to find your serenity and find your peace, and know that that's most important. And that's how I'm going to be able to continue on the journey of the unwinding and the unfucking and the going around and wiping up and cleaning up all of the poison. It's a process. Like, it is not something that you can rush. But that is what recovery is going and doing the real-time, tangible work in this lifetime with the people that you have affected in this lifetime, and also your soul's evolution on a deeper soul level, going within and connecting with your soul and allowing spirit to literally restore and revive and cleanse and like put back together. That's the best way I feel like to describe on a soul level. I felt like I was so fragmented, and like I needed to spirit, like me, just surrender and give my soul up, and spirit to put my soul back together as one whole being and just remind me that I'm always one whole being. Even if I feel like there's poison everywhere, even if I feel like everything's a mess and everything's all balled up and tied and oh my God, there's so much that I need to do. It's just one day at a time. You are always healed, whole, and holy. Always. You are forever going to be recovering. That is just part of the nature of this sickness. And surrendering into the fact that recovery is just an unwinding, and that doesn't mean that you're broken. You're not broken because there's poison everywhere. You're not broken because there's a ball of strings tied up. You are always healed, whole, and holy in every given moment, no matter what. And I feel truly that the more that you surrender to your recovery one day at a time and your healing process one day at a time, instead of trying to jump and rush and should yourself and say you should be somewhere else in your recovery and I should be further along by now. And that's where all of this suffering and the resistance comes in again. And then you're right back into the hole of the addiction, and it's causing more, you're tying up more strings in your ball. When you just surrender and say, I have a ball of strings here that I need to unwind and unfuck. I have poison that is like a lava leaking off of me still right now, and from previous, parts of my life. And you accept that and know that every single day, I'm just going to do my best to untangle and wipe up the poison every single day. And I'm just going to do what actually feels good for my soul and not shooting on myself or telling myself that I should be doing this a different way, or that what I'm doing, for example, this podcast, there was this whole push and pull with how much to share, and because oversharing is a trauma response, right? And I know that I overshare in general from my journey with addiction and growing up in an addicted household. When you're never heard, you want to be heard so bad that anybody that will listen to you, you just freaking pour it all on them because you haven't been heard in so long. And then it actually end up pushing people away. That's a whole other, topic for another podcast, episode. But there was this sense of judging myself and being like, oh, well, you need to recover and heal yourself before you share this because you're going to overshare. And it's like, yeah, I am. I probably am at especially in the beginning, I'm probably going to overshare quite a bit. But that would be telling myself that I'm broken and that I need to be fixed, controlled, managed. Here I am right back in the addiction, right back in the codependency, right back in the sickness. I don't need to be fixed, controlled, managed at all by anybody. And I don't need to fix, control, manage my healing. I need to surrender myself to what the healing and the recovery is offering me. One day at a time, every single day. You are always healed, holy, and whole. Do not make what you've been through or where you are in the recovery process mean that you are broken or that you need to be fixed. I promise that you are perfect just the way you are. You're just simply recovering. You're coming home to parts of yourself. You're surrendering more and more of yourself to that which is greater. And I know that I'm making this sound really easy, through my words. This is not easy work. This is being drenched in tears. This is feeling your heart crack open and break into a million pieces, so that way the light can come in and God can heal you again. It's not recovery. It's not easy by any means. And I don't mean to make it sound easy, but it is divine and it's beautiful and it's organic. Ooh, I hope that you take that with you. It's organic. That's why you just have to focus one step at a time, one day at a time. It will come to you. Your recovery will fall into you the more that you open yourself and stop judging yourself and stop shaming yourself and stop shooting on yourself and saying I should be somewhere else than where I am in my recovery and in my healing or with this addiction. Being at total peace with where you are and allowing others to come to that peace within themselves as well. Not trying to fix, control, manage their experience or what you did to them. Knowing that when the time is right and when God aligns it and when it's the perfect, juicy, divine moment, it will all come together. And we'll be able to heal and clean up that mess and address those things. And I don't mean to say that in a sense of avoidance, right? It's like that fine line of not addressing it and looking the other way and spiritually bypassing. We'll talk about that in an episode as well. Spiritually bypassing will literally derail your entire recovery process. This is about being so honest and real. That's how it's organic, is because you're being real and honest and raw with who you are on a true soul level. When you start shitting on yourself, when you start pushing things away when they come up, that is where you can get into bypassing, and that will derail your recovery. So just know that recovery is organic. It only takes your intention and your surrender and your ability to give yourself up to something greater. Being really honest and true and genuine and raw with what you're really experiencing and offering that up to spirit. It's truly an organic process. And so I hope that this helps you. I believe in you. We do recover. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.